Okay, so let's start OCT beginner seminar, and I think this is the 17th. And the last time we studied about the wavelength selection. We started the section of wavelength selection, and last time we did 830 nanometer. And today I'm going to study about 1050 nanometer band and also 1300 nanometer band. I think today's tutor is Kiriko, I guess. Okay, so can you please start, Kiriko?
すいません。ちょっと、
Sorry, it's Ichan.
すいません。
Oh, yeah.
Today's tutor is Ichan, right?
Oh, yes, yes.
So, yeah, can you start?
Oh, let's start again.
Yep.
In the 1015 nanometers bands section, we can see that since water absorption has a second minimum as 1015 nanometer, this wavelength can pass through the ocular optical minimum and compare with the wavelength of 813 nanometer. It has a relatively less scattering and a higher penetration. Therefore, the 1015 nanometer band is a emerging wavelength band for red nose imaging. However, is the disadvantage is that the components in the 1015 nanometer bands are very expensive and relatively low quality. The latest developments of a turbine fiber lasers with a wavelength of 1016 nanometers has promoted the development of cost-effective and high quality components at this wavelength. Overall, 1015 nanometer is expected to be the next generation of clinical red nose OCT, replacing the 814 nanometers SD-OCT.
Okay.
In the 1310 nanometers band, this part see that the 1310 nanometers band is a telecom wavelength bands, and this company this wavelength has cost-effective and high quality compared with the other wavelength. It has a bigness advantage that 1310 nanometers size is minimally scatters by tissues. With this advantage, this wavelength band is the most common wavelength for several clinical application and ophthalmology. Over.
So maybe someone can you explain it in Japanese? Ichan, do you think can you explain it in Japanese? It's a little bit too much for you.
Difficult in Japanese.
Okay, so how about Dongwoo or Kiriko? Can you explain some part in Japanese? いける？
今日はちょっとすみません、避けます。
富田さん説明できる？
じゃあちょっとあんまり予習はしてないんですけど、やるだけちょっとやってみます。
じゃあお願いします。
はい。 その1050ナノメートルの、
うん。あ、スクリーンシェアしてもらっていい？
わかりました。お待ちください。見えますでしょうか？
あ、見えます。
はい。じゃあ、いきます。その1050ナノメートルの、バンドというのが、網膜のイメージングに使われているバンドです。そして、水によって、吸収される、2番目に吸収されにくい、波長なので、その目の吸収物質を透過、できるっていう風になります。そして、また830ナノメートルの波長に比べると、透過性が、高いということになるので、これが、目の深いところまで、行くことができるので、網膜のイメージングに、適しているということになります。そして、ここは、ここには、1050ナノメートルのバンドの光がこれまでの歴史の中で、どのように使われてきたかということが、書かれていると思います。そして、ここに、この段落には、ちょっと待ってください。1050ナノメートルの、ビームっていうのが、他の、の、このオプティカルコンポーネント、このファイバーコンポーネントっていうのは、
ファイバー、
ファイバーのことですか？
カプラー、カプラーとかサーキュレーターのことやな。
そうすると、1050ナノメートルのためのそのカプラーみたいなことですね。っていうのが、他の波長のものに、と比べて、高くて、また、比較的、クオリティが、低いということが書かれていて、ただ、その最近の研究によって、その1060ナノメートルの、イテリウムファイバーレーザーというものの、開発によって、このコストが、安くなって、またより高いクオリティ、この波長においての高いクオリティのものが、作られたということになります。そして、なので、この開発によって、1050ナノメートルの、OCT、医療用の OCT っていうのが、次の世代の、 OCT に、期待されているということが、この段落で書かれています。そして、1310ナノメートルのバンドについては、まず1310ナノメートルのバンドっていうのは、これ通信の、波長になります。そして、1050ナノメートルのものとは違って、この波長における、光学の機器と、あとファイバーは、通常、コストは安く、クオリティが高いので、この1310ナノメートルっていうのは OCT によく使われています。そして、次の段落には他の、波長との比較が、書かれていて、この1310ナノメートルの光は、組織によって、散乱されにくいです。なので、他のものと比べて高い、透過性を持っています。なので、この波長というのはここに書いてあるようないろんな分野で、広く使われて、いる波長になります。そして、一方で、その1310ナノメートルっていうのは、その水によって、非常に吸収されやすいので、網膜のイメージングには適していないということになります。すいません、ちょっと全然予習してなくてまともになかなかったんですけど、以上です。
しなかった？
はい。
全然予習しなかったん？
一回読んだだけですね、これは。
はいはい。あ、なるほどな。わかりました。Okay. Then let me re-explain the points of today's part. So I will take a screen first. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
The topic of today is a two-wavelength band, which is longer than the last time. And the last time was 830. So that was kind of infrared, but still our eye can see somehow. But the two-wavelength band today we studied 1050 and 1300 are totally invisible, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me start from 1050. So 1050 nanometer is surely longer than the 830. This is the first point. So because of this, it is suffered from the scatter. It is less suffered from the scattering. And at the same time, the absorption of water is a little bit larger than 830, but still it is small. So there are 2 points. The one point is because of the water absorption minimum, 1050 light still can reach to the retina and then scatter back from the retina and can be detected. This is the first point. And the second point is within the retina or the eye tissue, the light can be penetrate deeper than that of 830. Okay, let me explain the details of this. So here is the eye, right? And here is the lens. Oh, and here is the retinal tissue. Okay, and the light, when you see something, light is coming from this side. And also for the OCT imaging, light is coming from this side. And then let's zoom up this part of the eye. The shape of this part is something like this. Maybe I've drawn this figure once, maybe last time or one time before the last time. So the retina has a very fine layer structure, but the layer can be classified roughly into 3 or 4. The first part is sensory retina. And this one is a set of neurons which convert the light signal into electrical signal. And this part is a retinal pigment epithelium, RPE, which contains a lot of melanin. And this part, the final part, is so-called as choroid. And this one is a blood-rich tissue which supply the nutrients to the sensory retina. Got it? So let's start from 830. If you are visualizing the eye or illuminating the eye with the 830, this part is vitreous, and it's mainly water. It's not a problem. So because the water absorption of 830 is very small, the light can penetrate to the eye, and then coming to the sensory retina, and still can penetrate a bit, and then maybe it's going to be scattered out totally just around the retinal pigment epithelium. So in the case of 830, what we can visualize is somewhere the region around this part, right? But there is still a significant structure beneath this image penetration. And actually, that was the interest of clinicians. Like choroid is a basement of the eye, right? And the sensory retina is something which appeared in the front of the eye. So if you have some eye disease, surely there is some defect in the sensory retina, and this can be seen by using 830. But this kind of defect or abnormality of the sensory retina is actually starting from the abnormality of the choroid. So if we can measure the choroidal structure, it might be more powerful for the diagnosis than just seeing the sensory retina. So now what is the problem for this? So the problem is a scattering of eye tissue itself here, right? So we need a wavelength which is less suffer from the scattering. Means we need to make the wavelength long. But if we make the wavelength long as something like 830, the absorption is too much. In this case, light cannot penetrate into the eye. Maybe somewhere here, the light is totally absorbed by the vitreous or say water. So we cannot use 1300 nanometers or 1.3 micron cannot be utilized for the retina imaging. But 1050 is a kind of good balance between the absorption and less scattering. So 1050 nanometer was maybe around 2003 that people started to think of using 1050 nanometer as an alternative of 830. Got it? So far, is it okay for you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So then, what was the problem of the 1050 nanometer? It is mainly of component, availability of the component. Hold on. Okay, maybe third paragraph first. So on the 1050 nanometer band, well, say we frequently use the word 1 micron band, is not a standard wavelength for most of the applications. So because of this, the manufacturers never made the optical component or fiber components for this wavelength band. There is some, but that was only experimental and a very small lot. So we didn't have a mass production effect. So the components were very expensive. And at the same time, since that was not a big market, they didn't investment a lot for this. So the performance of these fiber components was not good. That was a kind of limitation of 1050. So maybe some of you remember that when we are talking about the interferometer, I was actually talking about a 1050 nanometer circulator. Do you remember it? So when I started first time use the 1050 nanometer for the OCT, the circulator, say 1050 nanometer circulator was not good, but that was more than 10 times expensive than that of 1.3 microns. So that was really not good choice. And also even coupler was something similar. The coupler was again 10 times more expensive than the circulator, and its performance was not good. But this situation changed because of the invention of ytterbium fiber laser. So maybe around 10 or 15 years ago, there was a kind of booming in a telecom of the usage of ytterbium fiber laser. And the ytterbium fiber laser had a center wavelength of 1060 nanometer. That is quite close to our interest. In the case of OCT, actually, the light is broadband. So 1050 nanometer band is something like a 1060 nanometer. It's only the 10 nanometer difference. And that 10 nanometer is still in the range of the bandwidth of our light source. So 1050 nanometer band component it surely can be utilized for our purpose. And the number of units manufactured in a telecom is significantly larger than that of OCT. Like in a case of telecom, a single lot of production contains something like 100,000 or 200,000 or something. But in a case of OCT, say in a telecom, 100,000 per lot, right? Per single manufacturing. But in a case of OCT, even for the retina, that is the biggest market of OCT, but it is something like 100 units per year per world. So in comparison to the telecom, the medical OCT market is quite small. So if these components are used only for the OCT purpose, we couldn't have a mass production effect. So the price is quite expensive. But once they were started to be utilized in a telecom, the price of each component becomes dramatically decreased. So it becomes cost effective, right? So the story, by summarizing it, the story is there was nothing changed from the OCT perspective, but there was a kind of booming of 1060 nanometer band in the telecom, and it made the optical component used in the OCT more cheap, and that is resulting in it made the 1050 nanometer OCT more cheap, finally. And finally, it became a kind of standard device in ophthalmology. So when I wrote this material, that was 2014. And on that time, there was a single commercial prototype device, the single commercially available device, and the other company were just having prototype device that was not on sale. But now there were several commercially available 1050 nanometer OCT, and it became a kind of second de facto standard of the retina OCT. Okay, so far I was talking about a 1050 nanometer. Was it clear for you?
Yes.
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 野田君も大丈夫?
はい。
Okay, so then let's go to 1310 nanometer band. So the 1310 nanometer band is more longer wavelength. So the property of 1310 is the same tendency but more extreme than the 1050. So the absorption is higher than 1050, but the scattering is less affected by the scattering. So for example, here in this picture, it can be reached into more deep position because of the less scattering. But for the retina, it is not useful because of the high scattering, high absorption of the water. The light is going to be absorbed in the way to the retina. Got it? And actually, if you have some experience of the laser science, maybe you've heard about the word of eye safe. This wavelength is actually called as eye safe wavelength because of, say, when you're doing the experiment with 1310 nanometer laser, and by accident you put it into the eye. Okay, if you put the laser light into the eye by accident, most of the cases you are going to have a damage on your retina. But 1310 is not that dangerous because the light is absorbed by the water and it doesn't harm your retina. So this 1310 nanometer band is sometimes called as eye safe wavelength. This is one hand, if you are a laser scientist, it is eye safe. But if you want to use it for the retina imaging, it means 1300 or 1.3 micron is totally useless for the retina imaging. So then, how we can use, or for which application we use the 1310 nanometer? The answer is here. Okay, in general, we can utilize this wavelength to the subject which has a high scattering, but there is no water layer on top. It includes skin, so skin science, namely the dermatology, and also on the cardiovascular measurement, like say blood vessel of heart. And also you can check your stomach and a colon, gastrointestinal disease imaging. And that was, this wavelength is also utilized for the eye investigation, but not for retina, but anterior part of the eye, namely this part of the eye, lens and cornea, and also there are, we call it as an angle here. And this angle is associated to know this structure. It's structure but called as angle, right? And this angle structure is known to be associated with the risk factor of glaucoma. So there is an OCT system specially designed to measure the anterior eye, and it uses 1.3 micron. Okay, so so far is it okay for you? Did you get the point?
Yes.
Yes.
みんな大丈夫? Okay, so that was something we planned for today, but we have some little bit more time. So 野田くん 2.7 やったっけ？ちょっとってできる？予習してない？
あ、すいません。ちょっとまだ、
Okay, so then
してなかったです。すいません。
it's not a problem. So maybe we can do for the next time. Okay, that was a little bit short today, but let's close for today's seminar. And the next time the tutor is Noda-kun, and we are going to start from 2.7. Okay, and the 2.7, the Noda-kun's part is transversal resolution, depth resolution, right? And the dispersion correction is Oikawa.
Yes.
And our SNR sensitivity is Dongwu. Okay, so actually section 2.7 is one of the two most difficult and important sections, 2.7 and 2.8. Okay, 2.7 and 2.8 and the previous theory sections are core part of this textbook. And resolution discussion is not that difficult, this one, right? This one. And this one is this one. Kind of straightforward. It is important, but not that difficult. But dispersion correction is a little bit hard to understand. And also, SNR sensitivity is it's fun, but a little bit complicated, but it's very important. So I would like to all of you want to read this textbook by yourself before we do the seminar, and especially section 2.7 and 2.8, right?
Yes.
Okay. In general, this seminar aims at training you to read the literature in addition to learning the basic of OCT. So no matter how you are assigned for the section of today, please read through the manuscript by yourself. And if possible, I think you can read through the entire manuscript once. And then maybe your time can be free for each time of the seminar. Got it?
Yeah.
And after doing all of this textbook, I would like you to read the papers by yourself every day, actually. Maybe you can designate 30 minutes every day to read the paper of your interest. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. So let's close the seminar for today. Do you have anything you want to clarify for today?
So when is the next day?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's define the next day.